Welcome back to First Edition. It was like a scene from a movie. Protesters storming a government building, smashing windows, chanting and threatening violence. Except what we witnessed in Washington, D.C. yesterday was very real and very frightening. But how did it get to this point? Well, to talk about the psychology of mob mentality is Dr. Janine Hubbard. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, as always.
So, what are some of the factors that might cause people to get involved or participate in this type of group?
Well, what we know is there were a number of kind of factors that created a perfect storm for us yesterday. We had a group that had extremist or polarized views. They felt personally threatened. They felt like their rights as a citizen were under attack. And they then they were being encouraged by their leader. A perfect storm of a group of individuals.
So then what is the psychology behind mob mentality? I mean, are these, I mean, obviously not every person of those thousands of people who were there were like-minded in that they wanted to trash the Capitol building. So what is the psychology behind this?
Well, and we know certainly there's always, or often in these circumstances, some people who go there with an intent toward violence and damage. And then what happens is we have this experience, it's called de-individuation. I'll get it right one of these days. And what it means is when you are part of a group of like-minded individuals, and the larger the group, the more likely this is to happen, and you stop thinking as an individual and you become one of this group. So it sounds, bizarre, but for example, as you are physically damaging something, you're not thinking of it as I'm causing this damage. It's this damage is being caused by the group. There's what's called diffusion of responsibility. And then what happens is you wind up lowering your inhibitions. So you start doing things that you probably, wouldn't do on a normal basis, and certainly may not have been planning on doing when you went to something like a protest or an activity, but you really truly get swept up in this mob mentality. And I think that's a perfect example of what we saw yesterday.
So we are sort of running out of time. I'm just wondering some final thoughts. I mean, I look at this and I just wonder, how can a nation heal after this?
We've got a lot of, what we really have is a polarized, divided nation. And that's really dangerous because the more extreme people become in their views, the harder they pull. And the more they surround themselves with like-minded individuals who share their beliefs. And that makes it so much harder to move forward. So it's going to take a lot of healing, and I think it's going to take a lot of close examination as to what was happening, what were the people feeling really hard done by, what were they feeling upset about, and also, as Dr. Tomlin was mentioning, taking a look at some of the racial inequities that we may be experiencing here. The U.S. has got a lot of healing to do moving forward.
All right, Dr. Janine Hubbard, thank you so much for coming in.
Anytime.